Chain Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded in the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QinReview. That is @CuenDreview. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@cuenreview.com. That is INFORMATION@CuenDreview.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. Glasgow carer assaulted police officer and tried to bite their body. An article by Kirsty Feerick and read by me, Corey. A Glasgow carer assaulted a police officer and tried to bite them while they were on duty. Lynn Mulholland attacked the officer at a flat while employed as a support worker at Real Life Options in Glasgow. She then failed to tell the Scottish Social Services Council that she had been convicted at Glasgow Sheriff Court on August 31st, 2021, of the offence, contrary to Section 90(1) of the Police Fire and Reform Scotland Act 2012. The care watchdog has now given her a warning and slammed her violent behaviour, which happened on May 17th, 2020. This was an isolated incident, not a pattern of behaviour, as Mulholland has a good previous history with the SSSC. She has since cooperated with the investigation into the incident, and will now have a stain on her registration for a period of 12 months. The SSSC report stated, social service workers are expected not to behave while in or outside of work in a way which would bring their suitability to work in social services into question. This behaviour involving insulting and attempting to bite a police officer who was acting in the course of his duties, which was violent and involved a loss of self-control. This resulted in you being convicted of this offence. Social service workers are expected to tell the SSSC about anything that may affect their fitness to practice. This behaviour involved failing to inform the SSSC that you have been charged for assaulting or attempting to bite a police officer. The SSSC only became aware of this when the matter was referred to us by your employer. The behaviour as serious as this is not the standard that is expected of social care workers. While the behaviour leading to your conviction appears to have been an isolated incident and is unlikely to be repeated, your actions are also likely to negatively affect public confidence in your social care profession. The public would lose confidence in the SSSC as regulator of the profession if there was no finding of current impairment. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was written by Kirsty Feerick and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. Glasgow man threatened neighbour with piece of wood after argument. An article by Lauren Brownlee and read by me, Corey. A man threatened his neighbour with a piece of wood after getting into an argument. Salman Khan appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court after previously pleading guilty to shouting, swearing and brandishing a bit of wood in the city's East End. The 38-year-old was driving home on June 29, 2022, when he got into an argument with another man and started following him. He appeared outside his house at Springbank Gardens, shouting and trying to get his attention. Prosecutor Ross Canning said, the witness appeared at the front door with his wife. It was noted that the accused was under the influence of alcohol. He was shouting and swearing and throwing his arms. He brandished a piece of wood, thereafter he threw it to the ground. Police were eventually contacted to attend. In reply to caution and charge, he stated it was not a weapon. Mr. Canning later confirmed that it was the other man who had the piece of wood originally, with Can picking it up after it had been put to one side. Sheriff Alan McKay said he has a horrendous record. Very poor. Can's lawyer replied he had been involved in an argument and grabbed a piece of wood from his neighbour. He threatened him as he was fearful of the initial confrontation. It was never his intention to use it. He's certainly no stranger to this court. He's made a lot of progress over the last few months. Sheriff McKay told Can, "You must understand with your record and you appearing in situations like this means I could send you to prison. However, there have been some changes since you've last been in prison. You've been working to help yourself. I'm willing to offer you an alternative to custody." He was ordered to be under social work supervision for 1 year with a conduct requirement to attend alcohol counselling. A review will be held in 4 months' time. The sheriff added, "It's up to you now." That article is from the Glasgow Times. It was written by Lauren Brownlee and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. Exclusive. Man threw glass bottles from his flat window in Glasgow. Exclusive by Lauren Brownlee and read by me, Corey. A man threw several glass bottles out of his flat window in Glasgow. Raitas Papelskas, 39, was in his property on Portman Street, Kenning Park, on the morning of New Year's Eve 2022, when he began to throw bottles at 10:45 a.m. A security officer heard glass smash from outside the street, and, reviewing CCTV, he spotted glass bottles being thrown from a flat, which was endangering members of the public. The employee attended to speak with Papulkas. Police attended and raised concerns that vehicles could have been hit if it was a different time of day. Papulkas was cautioned and charged and made no reply. He appeared in Glasgow Sheriff Court on Monday, charged with culpably and recklessly throwing the bottles, causing them to smash and exposing the public to risk of injury. Sheriff Alan McKay asked how many bottles were thrown. Prosecutor Ross Canning reveals reports said many, but there was no exact figure. In another incident on April 12, 2022, Papulkas behaved in a threatening manner by shouting, swearing, and repeatedly kicking a door. Mr. Canning said at 12:26 a.m. there were several witnesses within their home address, a shared flat at Lindsay Way. At this point, they heard a loud bang. They described this as making the whole house feel like it was shaking. They ran downstairs in the property and immediately locked the flat door in fear for their safety. They observed the accused to be outside their property, shouting and swearing in a threatening manner. The accused was banging and kicking on the door. His aggressive behaviour continued. Cops attended and traced Papulkas. He was taken to London Road Police Office, where he made no reply to caution and charge. His lawyer said he managed to lock himself out of his own flat. He attended at a previous accommodation and lost his temper. In regard to the other matter, his flat is on the ground floor. The bottles were not being thrown from any height. He accepts he was throwing bottles out of the window and onto the pavement. His position is he could see enough out the window not to put anyone at risk, but he accepts it was culpable and reckless. As a result of his action, there was broken glass all over the pavement. The defence solicitor went on to say his client struggles to regulate his emotions. He added there's excessive reference to his mental health in the report. He's currently subject to 2 years supervision with a conduct requirement to attend mental health services. He's been attending supervision. It's very much his position that he's doing his best. He's willing to comply with a restriction of liberty order. But Sheriff Mackay replied, he's got a history of not doing that. He's got numerous matters outstanding. I think he's coming to the end of the road, frankly. His record is getting worse. and concerned the conduct is escalating. Popolkus was tagged and ordered to stay in his home between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. for 90 days for one matter. The sheriff deferred sentencing on the other matter. He said, "My sentence will reflect how successful or otherwise the restriction of liberty order is." Popolkus will return to court in June. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was written by Lauren Brownlee and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. Exclusive. Pregnant mum's ring doorbell captured prowler at Pollock home. An exclusive by Amanda Keenan and read by me, Corey. A mum has told how she was frozen with fear after her ring doorbell captured a prowler outside her home. Nicole Kempton told how she was watching television when she heard loud banging sounds coming from her garden. She was then sent a notification to her phone from the system that showed the intruder brazenly trying to gain access to her property, before spotting the camera and running off. Nicole, 26, who is 36 weeks pregnant, exclusively told the Glasgow Times, "I was watching TV when I heard 3 loud thumps coming from the garden. I thought it was strange and was about to go and check to see what was going on. Then, the app on my phone showed a man jumping over the fence and trying to get inside. It was really scary as my 2 young kids were sleeping upstairs, as well as my partner, and it was clear that this individual was looking to get into our home and garden shed. I just couldn't believe how brazen he was. It was only around 11 p.m, so it wasn't even in the dead of night. It left me frightened but also angry that someone thought he had the right to try and do this." The footage was captured on Saturday, February 18th, at Nicole's home in House Hill Wood Crescent in Pollock. The shaken mum reported the incident to police and is sharing the footage in a bid to warn others in the area to be on their guard and keep their doors and windows locked. She added, "Thankfully our property was secure and he wasn't able to get in. He jumped over from our neighbour's garden, then made off. I just want people to be careful and make sure their property is properly locked up. There are a lot of elderly people living here, and I'd hate to think of something like this happening to them." Nicole told how she had the Ring doorbell installed just 4 weeks ago. She added, "I don't know if he ran off because he spotted the camera or not, but hopefully this acts as a deterrent. I'm glad we caught him on camera, and hopefully the police will be able to use the image to track him down. Maybe if he sees this story, he will think twice about doing anything like this again. What angers me the most is that I'm heavily pregnant, and my young kids were upstairs sleeping. It is a traumatic thing to watch someone live as they try and get into your house, while you are on the other side of the door. I'm just hoping the police can identify him, as I don't want this to happen to anyone else." A spokesperson for Police Scotland said inquiries are ongoing and no arrests have been made. Increased patrols are now in place after thieves attempted to enter cars, houses and sheds throughout Pollock, with residents claiming incidents have increased in recent months. Chief Inspector Derek Johnson, local area commander, said, "We are aware of concerns regarding a number of attempted break-ins to houses, cars and sheds in the Pollock area recently. Increased patrols are in place. Taking a few minutes to ensure your property and any outbuildings or vehicles are secure can help deter criminals. In addition to appealing to residents to take basic security precautions, it is important that people are vigilant in their own neighbourhoods and report anyone they think is behaving suspiciously. We are very grateful for this type of community intelligence as it greatly assists us in tackling crime." That is from the Glasgow Times. It was written by Amanda Keenan and it was read by me, Corey.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of March 2023, from the news section, drugs and cash seized after cops raid 3 homes in Glasgow. Report by Lauren Brownlee. A large number of drugs were allegedly found after cops raided 3 homes in Glasgow's south side. Officers, armed with warrants, searched 3 properties in Govan and Pollock yesterday. Class A and B drugs were reportedly seized, as well as mobile phones and a motorbike. A total of £7,135 was also seized. Reports will be sent to the Procurator Fiscal. A post on Glasgow South West Police read, "Today our community officers executed 3 drugs warrants in Govan and Pollock. In total, a large quantity of Class A and B controlled drugs, mobile phones and yet another motorbike was recovered. £7,135 was also seized. Reports will be sent to the Procurator Fiscal. #DrugsAreForMugs." And that report was by Lauren Brownlee. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of March 2023, from the news section, bus travelling from Silverburn in Glasgow evacuated after fire. Article by Sarah Campbell. Passengers were forced to evacuate a bus in Glasgow yesterday after a fire was deliberately started on the top deck. The alarm was raised shortly after 10 p.m, causing the bus stop on Corkerhill Road at the junction with Braidcraft Road. 12 passengers exited the vehicle, which is said to have been extensively damaged as a result of the blaze. Police are now searching for 3 teens aged between 15 and 18 who got on the bus at Silverburn Shopping Centre and alighted at Corkerhill Road just after the Braidcraft Road roundabout. One is described as being around 5 foot 7 inch, with short shaved dark hair and wearing a dark top and grey jogging bottoms. The second one is described as being around 5 foot 9 inch and of medium build and having short dark hair with curls at the front. He was wearing a dark top. The third is described as being of a thin build and wearing a dark hooded top with the hood up. Detective Inspector William Downey of Govan CID said, "The bus has been extensively damaged and 12 passengers were evacuated. This reckless conduct could have had more serious consequences for those people. We are keen to trace 3 youths, aged 15 to 18 years, who got on the bus at Silverburn Shopping Centre and left the bus on Corkerhill Road just after the Braidcraft Road roundabout. We are also keen to trace some of the passengers who had left before police arrival. We are checking local CCTV and asking if anyone has any information to contact us via 101, quoting reference number 3740 of March the 2nd. And that report was by Sarah Campbell. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of March 2023, from the news section, Glasgow priest who sexually abused girls walks from court. Report by Connor Gordon. A shamed priest who sexually abused 4 girls walked free from court today. Father Neil McGarrity, 68, prayed on his victims at 2 churches in Glasgow, as well as his parish home in the city. McGarrity played footsie under the table with one of the girls and was caught in a prolonged embrace with another. The priest of 33 years, from the city's Mary Hill, also touched and rubbed the girls, with one victim claiming he hugged her while sat on a couch. A girl even contacted Childline due to her concerns over his behaviour. McGarrity was found guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court of 4 sexual assaults and 1 charge of engaging in sexual activity. The charges spanned from December 2017 and February 2020, with the girls' ages ranging between 10 to 16. Sheriff Vincent Lunny ordered McGarrity to do 250 hours of unpaid work and put him under supervision for 3 years. He also tagged McGarrity for 9 months, keeping him indoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. McGarrity was placed on the sex offenders register for 5 years. The trial heard from a girl who said she was repeatedly hugged by McGarrity when she was aged 10 or 11 at a Glasgow church. The witness stated that McGarrity made her feel uncomfortable. She added that he called her his favourite and that she wasn't to tell anybody. The girl stated she did not tell her parents as she kept it bottled up. The victim then recalled being with McGarrity at his parish home in 2020. She said, "It got too big to handle. We went into the living room and he said to come and sit in a spinning chair. He wanted me to put my head on him and he cuddled into me. I said I can't do this and I need the toilet." The girl added that she was stroked on the arm and hugged by McGarrity. A second girl told the court that she had phoned Childline about McGarrity not long after meeting him. She said, It was that he was being really close and I was getting someone else's view if it was normal. I never really had that much concern about it as I really liked him. The girl claimed McGarity put his hand around and rubbed her waist. The witness added, it was along with the hand holding and footsie under the table. The girl said she was rubbed in the chest and arm by McGarity while at a Christmas Eve service at St Thomas's. She stated that he kept his hand on her waist and rubbed her lower back like a massage. The girl went on to say McGarity also touched her on the leg on 2 occasions while he was driving his car. A third girl told the court McGarity played with her hair and touched her face while she was 13 years old. She said, he always thought he knew about me and I felt weird. When I was at church, he used to look at me and I felt uncomfortable. The girl added that McGarity also put his arm around her. She claimed she took her mum but nobody else, as she did not want to judge someone or be mean. The incidents took place in two city churches. A 25-year-old woman claimed she spotted McGarity and her younger sister being close with each other at his parish home. The witness said, when I re-entered the kitchen area while we were eating, he had his arms around my sister's waist and she had her arms around his waist. It was a prolonged embrace they were in. Prosecutor Derek Buchanan asked how her sister reacted. She replied, she reacted like a girl in love would react with the man that was touching her. McGarity told the court in his evidence that he was stunned to hear of the allegations. Billy Lavelle, defending, asked if there was any truth to the allegations. McGarity said, there was truth insofar as some of the things I did and didn't do. Mr. Lavelle said, was there anything sexual on your part? McGarity said, no, not at all. And that article was written by court reporter Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of March 2023, from the news section, people protest outside home in Paisley as cops called, by Lauren Brownlee. Dozens of people were protesting outside a home in Paisley last night. A crowd gathered in Fergusley at around 6:30 p.m. in a bid for someone they claimed to be an alleged sex offender to be removed from the property. Cops turned up shortly after. The occupants of the home were removed by officers and taken away in a police van. The protesters then left. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, March the 2nd, 2023, a police received a report of a crowd of people protesting outside a house in Paisley. Officers attended and the occupants of the house were removed by police. The crowd later dispersed. And that report was by Lauren Brownlee. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of March 2023, from the news section, woman dies in hospital after being hit by car in Glasgow city centre. Report by Lauren Brownlee. A woman has died following a crash in Glasgow city centre last month. Emergency services were called to Elmbank Street at its junction with St Vincent Street at 8:15 p.m. on February the 2nd following a crash involving a Volkswagen Tiguan, a car and a pedestrian. A 64-year-old woman was taken to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital where she died on Wednesday, March the 1st. Police are appealing for information following the fatal accident. Road policing officer, Constable Amanda Mackay said, our thoughts are with the family and friends of the woman who died and everyone affected by this crash. Our inquiries to establish the full circumstances are ongoing and I would like to thank everyone who has assisted so far. I would appeal to anyone with any information who has not yet spoken to us to get in touch. Anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland via 101, quoting incident number 3467 of Thursday, February the 2nd, 2023. And that report was by Lauren Brownlee.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of March. Cancer survivor tells of horror ordeal after 9-month wait. An exclusive front page article written by Maxine MacArthur. Donna McMahon is a survivor. She beat cancer, sepsis and a whole host of other complications and lived to tell the tale. Yet the life she knew is gone. The 41-year-old is currently waiting to have a life-changing operation, which will involve an entire hysterectomy, as well as the removal of her bladder, bowel, and part of her colon. Typically, the operation isn't offered to those without active cancer in their bodies, yet Donna's case was so severe, doctors agreed it was the only way to keep the disease away. After only just being released from hospital 2 weeks ago, following an almost 2-month battle with sepsis as a side effect of her illness, Donna hopes the surgery will mark the beginning of her recovery from her horrific 3-year ordeal. Donna, who is from Moodiesburn, said, "I've beat the cancer, but it's just been delay after delay, and now, because of all the damage from the radiation, I'm waiting for a major pelvic operation. I met with the surgeon in March last year, so it's another delay, and it's left me with infections, and I've had to have a stoma fitted. It's quite extreme, and it's scary, but I feel like it's my only chance to get back to a sort of normal life." Donna first began experiencing symptoms such as excessive bleeding in between her period in 2019. She met with her GP, who carried out blood tests, and despite a high white blood count, no further investigation was undertaken. It took 9 months before Donna was finally referred for a smear test, and from there she was told she would need a biopsy within 2 weeks. Unfortunately, she was rushed into A&E just a week later. There, doctors agreed to perform an examination and decided she couldn't wait any longer for a biopsy, which was carried out there and then as Donna sat in agony. "When it was finished, I asked the doctor what she thought it was," Donna said. "The doctor said, 'What do you think it is?' And I said, 'I think it's cancer.' She said, 'Well, you're right. That's how I found out.'" The country was in national lockdown, and Donna was left to undergo her treatment alone. She was forced to make the difficult decision to freeze her eggs, only to discover the option wasn't available to her via the NHS, as her long road to diagnosis meant she was over the age limit. Donna and her partner opted to carry out the process privately, before being told her cancer was stage 4, and she couldn't wait any longer for treatment, ending her hopes of becoming a mother. Meanwhile, Donna is also hoping to qualify as a paramedic, but anxiously waits to find out if she'll be able to take on the role, given that she'll be required to live with a stoma full-time after her surgery. "I just take it one day at a time. I've come this far," she added. "I'm hoping I'll still be able to become a paramedic, and hopefully I can fulfill my dream of going into the air ambulance, but I still don't really know if they'll let me. I'm really, really hopeful." Sadly, Donna had missed her routine cervical screening appointment prior to her diagnosis, and she's thrown her support behind our campaign, "Don't Fear the Smear," in a bid to ensure other women don't face the same struggles. "I was just busy, and I kick myself for it now," she said. "My advice would be to get your smears, push, push, push for further tests if you think you need them, and listen to your body." An exclusive front-page article written by Maxine MacArthur. Glasgow Times on Monday the 6th of March. Lifestyle. Father Ted's Ardal O'Hanlon talks Celtic and the Glasgow Comedy Festival. An exclusive article written by Nicole Mitchell. Ardal O'Hanlon has revealed seeing a football game is top of his list when it comes to visiting Glasgow. The Father Ted and Death in Paradise star will be in the city later this month as he returns to the Glasgow Comedy Festival, with the showing off must go on. Although he often has to fly in and fly out when on tour, Ardal says there are 2 key things he likes to do when in the city. "I tend to go for a curry when I'm in Glasgow," he reveals. "For some reason, I associate Glasgow with really, really good curry. But also, I'll often try to catch a football match as well if Celtic are playing. That would be the main thing." The Showing Off Must Go On was originally toured in 2019 and 2020, before it was disrupted by the COVID pandemic. The show, which Ardal describes as the rantings and ravings of a middle-aged man, sees him turn to comedy as a therapeutic emergency response to extreme events. There's a lot of stuff in there about lifestyle, the way we live our lives. There's a lot of stuff about family, religion, sex, the usual kind of stuff, he explains. "I have a slightly surreal take on most things, I think, so it gets a little bit surreal, but it's quite punchy and contemporary. Observational stand-up comedy is the way I describe it. Ardell says he believes comedy is a great way of making sense of the world. He says, you could easily slip into despair if you just got up and watched the news every day and counted the cost of everything and all those pressures we have in our lives all the time. I just find for myself, and I found this from a very early age, that comedy was a great release. The actual physical act of doing it, I'm not a power-craving person, but it just gives you a certain power. It gives you agency. But just the writing of it, just by ridiculing something, you take the sting out of it. Most of my comedy and most comedians are really laughing at themselves and their own stupidity and their own aspirations and their own lifestyle choices and all that kind of thing. So by being able to laugh at all of that just makes it go away a bit. Ardell is currently in London doing rehearsals for Dancing at Lunasa, which will open at the Olivier Theatre in April, but says he couldn't miss the chance to bring the show to the Glasgow Comedy Festival. He says, there have been some very memorable gigs over the years in Glasgow, so when I was invited to come to the festival, I just jumped at it really. I'm in the middle of doing a play in London at the moment, so I had to get special permission to leave rehearsals to come to the festival in Glasgow, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. He adds, Glasgow audiences tend to be quite lively. I find that generally up there, he says. I find Scottish audiences, but Glasgow audiences in particular, just very lively, quite interactive, very comedy savvy, so it's always good fun. Despite starring in a variety of television shows, Ardell says that even now there's not a few days that go by where Father Ted, which he starred in from 1995 to 1998, as Father Dougal Maguire, isn't mentioned to him. While at one time he says this was frustrating, he says it's since made his peace with it. He admits, I love to be part of it. I do look back very fondly on the whole time, and I know people do associate me with it, and there's nothing I can do about that. I think that was maybe a bit frustrating 10 or 20 years ago after it finished, because as a performer or an actor, you just want to move on with your life, but I've absolutely come to terms with that. I know a lot of people come to see my shows because they love Father Ted, or they've just discovered Father Ted, so it's been nothing but good for me, and I love it. Ardell O'Hanlon will bring The Showing Off Must Go On to the King's Theatre on Saturday, March the 18th. An exclusive article written by Nicole Mitchell. GlasgowTimes News on Monday the 6th of March. Loss of Morton's roles hits city businesses. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. Businesses across Glasgow have reacted to the news that Drumchapel-based bakery Morton's Rolls has ceased trading. We previously reported the iconic firm and household name, which started making rolls in 1965, was reported to be in trouble on Friday night. According to reports, a letter to staff on Friday said, the company is ceasing to trade with immediate effect. The directors have taken steps to ensure that the business can continue in some form, but it's likely that this will be with a reduced workforce across the business. It also reported that the firm's 250 staff were told in the letter that employees would be laid off with immediate effect. Now businesses across Glasgow have reacted to the news. Bosses at Good Times Roll, located on Copeland Road in Ibrox, said that they were extremely saddened by the news in a post on Instagram. They said the business will be open as usual, but rolls may be in short supply. The post read, we are extremely saddened to wake up to the news that Morton's Rolls has ceased trading with immediate effect, and our thoughts are with the staff and everyone else this will impact. We hope there is a speedy resolution, and in the meantime we'll do everything we can to make sure that you can still enjoy our tasty, soft or crispy rolls. We'll still be open as normal all weekend, although rolls may be on short supply, but we'll keep you all posted with any updates that we have along the way. Meanwhile, bosses at Bite Me Sandwich Bar on Paisley Road West said they were gutted by the news, as they have been using Morton's Rolls since they opened 19 years ago. A post on Instagram read, just seen the sad news that Morton's Rolls has ceased trading. We've been using Morton's since we opened 19 years ago, and we'll be gutted to see them go. Thinking of all the staff during this difficult time, and hopefully something can be done to save this Glasgow institution. Owners of East End eatery Scran have also said their thoughts go out to staff at Morton's. The cafe said the bakery's rolls are a huge part of what makes Scran a firm favourite. Labour MSP Paul Sweeney has also called the loss of Morton's a hammer blow to Glasgow. He tweeted, "This is awful news. Coming after the closure of McVitie's in Tollcross, losing the iconic Morton's rolls of Drumchapel and 250 jobs would be another hammer blow to Glasgow's economy. The government must step in now to try and find a firm that will buy Morton's out of administration." An article written by Nicole Mitchell. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 6th of March. Opinion. This week proves the SNP is out of touch with reality. The Tory View, a column written by Thomas Kerr. This week we've seen the SNP's civil war explode to unprecedented levels, with snipping, briefing and attacks on one another becoming the norm. I'll offer one piece of advice to my nationalist colleagues. Take it from me, nothing good comes from consistently turning inwards. However, even in my party's defence, at least the debate was on the issues that matter to ordinary people like the economy, taxation and health. For the SNP, this entire leadership contest has been dominated by independence and social issues. While Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak debated economic growth, Kate Forbes, Humza Yousaf and Ash Regan are seeing how much red meat they can throw to SNP members on their number one obsession of independence. It's ludicrous and shows just how out of touch with reality the SNP really is with the true priorities of Scots. While I may not be the fanatical base the current candidates are appealing to, one issue that has been absent has angered me greatly. So, here's a question for you. Can any readers tell me where Humza Yousaf, Kate Forbes and Ash Regan stand on Scotland's drug death scandal? If the answer is no, I don't blame you, because despite record numbers of people dying, this issue appears to be absent from the current leadership candidates. So either we can assume they aren't interested or are planning on sticking to Nicola Sturgeon's failed policies to tackle this crisis. Perhaps we'll get a better idea this week when the candidates go head-to-head in televised debates, because so far every hustings has showed the SNP membership aren't interested in Scotland's national shame. Playing to the party faithful, the most sensible candidate, Kate Forbes, has even appeared to go further than any other, claiming she wants an independence referendum within 3 months of the next general election, and that a majority of seats won at the general election should be taken as a mandate for independence. As for Ash Regan, well, where to start? Her campaign seems to be based on the thick of it. Apparently, under Ms Regan's leadership, Scotland will become independent, have our own currency within 3 months with a central bank, and will have a doomsday clock in George Square to tell us when she's ready to crash our economy. When Nicola Sturgeon resigned, she said that this contest would show the people of Scotland the array of talent within the SNP's ranks. It appears that was yet another broken promise by the First Minister, because all we're seeing is a trio of candidates who are ready to take over the circus, but are simply not good enough. Scotland deserves better. On Saturday, I was out speaking with voters about what they want the SNP Green government to focus on, and not one issue raised by the SNP candidates has appeared. Instead, they're fed up with the nationalists and desperate for change. That's why the Scottish Conservatives are focused on the people's priorities. While SNP ministers tear lumps from one another and attack the record of the government they've been part of, we are getting on with the job of holding them accountable and offering a real alternative. The column written by Thomas Kerr. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of March. Snow set to fall in Glasgow this week as an Arctic chill moves across Scotland. An article written by Rebecca Newlands. Snow is set to fall in Glasgow this week. As yellow warnings are put in place for snow in the northeast of Scotland, the Met Office has advised that light snow will arrive in the city on Thursday, March the 9th. Beginning at around midday, Glasgow is expected to have snow until Friday afternoon, and then another flurry on Saturday afternoon. The Met Office forecast reads, Dry, sunny and cold on Wednesday and Thursday. Widespread overnight frost, severe in places. Chance of rain or snow on Friday. It comes after yellow warnings for snow across Scotland were brought forward as Arctic air moves over the country and down to northern England, possibly leading to the coldest temperature of the year so far. The Met Office said temperatures could drop to below -10 degrees Celsius on Monday night on higher ground in northern Scotland, with northerly winds making it feel even colder. The wintry conditions could lead to up to 10 centimetres of snow on higher ground in Scotland and 5 centimetres at lower levels. The UK Health Security Agency has issued a cold weather alert and has placed North East England, North West England and Yorkshire under a Level 3 alert, with the rest of England receiving a Level 2 alert. An article written by Rebecca Newlands. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of March. Volunteers plant 750 shrubs in a park to tackle noise pollution. An article written by Esther Tarnay. Volunteers planted 750 shrubs in a Glasgow park to combat air and noise pollution. Around 50 people turned up for the community event in sunny Victoria Park on Saturday morning. With shovels in hand, the eager locals planted the trees in a stretch of green space between the pond and the motorway. The initiative was organised by Friends of Victoria Park and Victoria Park Community Trust, in partnership with the Conservation Volunteers and the John Muir Trust. Steve Nelson, chair of the Community Trust, said, "We are planting the transplants very, very densely, and these are woodland edge shrubs, so plants that would normally grow at the end of woodlands and grow around 2 metres high. They will create a dense thicket of shrubs. The reason we are planting here is that it will help screen all the cars from people in the park. It will also filter pollutants from the traffic and help with the noise. It's through the conservation volunteers that we got these trees for free. It's a big win here, and it's not costing us very much to do it. Hopefully this is phase 1, this 100 metres. If it works, the idea would be to continue this all the way along the frontage of the park where it meets the road." Craig Young, project manager at the Conservation Volunteers, said, "The trees we're planting will grow nice and thick and will be great for small birds, hedgehogs and mice. They're good for biodiversity, for different insects and birds. We'll see a massive boom, even with the road so close. And it's not just the environmental reasons. A lot of it is the health benefits. During the winter, a lot of people stay inside, and it's good to remind people that they can do a little physical activity, and there are mental benefits, as well as being out in nature. People can chat, find things that they might be interested in, and build up the community." Mr. Nelson added, "It's fantastic. There are a lot of people, and I'm absolutely chuffed that they came. There are a whole bunch of people meeting here for the first time. It's about community as much as it is about ecology and biodiversity." Councillor Eunice Jassemi, who attended the planting, said, "Many have complained to me about the noise pollution in the past. Today marks the first step in making our park a more eco-friendly space. We need a long-term strategy in the area that not only cuts pollution but boosts our green space. I'll continue to work with all partners, stakeholders and the community to develop our park so that everyone can enjoy it." An article written by Esther Tarnay.
From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, exclusive, "He's saved lives. Proud cop praises Rudy following his retirement." This article is by Lauren Brownlee. A much-loved police dog is enjoying retirement life after spending 8 years saving lives and catching criminals. PD Rudy joined Police Scotland when he was just 11 months old, but the heroic German Shepherd hung up his collar last month. His handler, PC Davy McIntyre, revealed how he had an inseparable bond with Rudy, who was his first ever police dog. "I've had pet dogs all my life and it's a completely different bond," PC McIntyre said. "Rudy was at home with me when we had days off, and when we were working, he'd be there with me. I was with him all the time. The number of things that he's done to protect me in this job is ridiculous. He's even saved my life." Rudy, who is based in Pollok Park and covered the west of Scotland, is believed to have saved countless lives with his ability to track human scent. During his career, he found 32 missing people, 163 wanted criminals, 21 weapons, and more than £10,000 worth of stolen property. However, Rudy is now enjoying a well-deserved time at home as a pet, despite still trying to join PC McIntyre when he's leaving for work. The 33-year-old said, "He is loving it, but my partner loves it more because she gets to take him out now. She wasn't allowed to before because of his job. I think he's been around every park in Glasgow, and he's made loads of pals with dogs and all that sort of stuff. He's absolutely loving it. He's totally chilled out. He always had an amazing switch. He knew when he was working, and he knew when it was days off or downtime. He is very cuddly when not working and likes to sit on the couch or run around the house. But when it came to work, he knew it was go time, and he searched until he found that person." Rudy quickly located a criminal when dispatched to his first ever job back in 2015. A man who had been recalled to prison ran away from officers after jumping out of a window. PC McIntyre soon arrived along with PC Rudy, who found the person half a mile away hiding in a cellar he had broken into. In 2016, Rudy, who has also spent time as a firearms support dog, saved Christmas in Maple, Ayrshire, after a thief broke into a care home and around 10 other properties to steal presents. The robber was found by Rudy along with the gifts during a night shift. Officers returned them all to their owners after figuring out where they had been stolen from. Meanwhile, after a serious assault in Maryhill, a man was left badly injured and 2 people had made off, still armed with knives. "I got there and deployed Rudy," PC McIntyre said. "We managed to get a track from the crime scene. He followed the track for 1.5 miles and recovered 2 of the weapons that were still blood-soaked and had been hidden in bushes. He then found the 2 guys as they were trying to get back into their house. He saved someone's life a couple of years ago. It was a missing gentleman that was injured. It was in the middle of nowhere in long grass, and Rudy managed to find him when he was still alive. We were then able to coordinate with fire and rescue and ambulance to get the man to hospital, and he's still alive to this day. Sometimes the public don't realise how valuable the dogs are for protecting people, and all they do it for is a ball." PC McIntyre has 2 other police dogs as well as a pet dog, who he described as the boss of them all. He added, "I've always loved dogs. I grew up with dogs, and my mum and dad had dogs all their life. When I joined the police, I knew that this was the avenue I wanted to go through. Rudy has helped me really enjoy my job because the job is hard. You deal with a lot of horrible people and incidents, and even when he's found folk that have unfortunately succumbed to injuries, he's just so good at just being comforting. I definitely couldn't have asked for a better first dog. No chance. He's absolutely awesome. Even now he's getting older, he still wants to do things just because he knows it makes me happy." PC McIntyre and his partner celebrated Rudy's successful career with a retirement do, and dozens of other officers attended to say goodbye. "I was really sad," PC McIntyre said. "I was quite emotional, to be fair. It's now very strange being out in the police car and not having him in the back. As much as my other dogs are brilliant, it's just strange. Rudy was my first dog. I struggle to think of a time without him. He means a lot." And that article was an exclusive by Lauren Brownlee. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, "It's frankly dangerous. Hamza Yousaf speaks out on pyros at football." Article by Stuart Patterson. "Fans using pyrotechnics at football matches is dangerous, and a conversation between government and fans and clubs is needed," says one of the contenders to be Scotland's next First Minister. Hamza Yousaf said items like flares can cause serious injury and football has to be safe for everyone. The Glasgow Pollock MSP is in a contest with Kate Forbes and Ash Regan to be the next SNP leader and take over from Nicola Sturgeon as First Minister. The Scottish Football Supporters Association has called for a summit of police, government and football authorities over the use of pyrotechnics. Recent incidents include at the Scottish League Cup final between Celtic and Rangers at Hampden, and at a Premiership match between Dundee United and Aberdeen at Tannadice. Paul Goodwin of the SFSA said there needs to be conversations about the safe use of pyrotechnics, as it is virtually impossible to stop them from getting into grounds. Speaking to Radio Clyde, Yousaf said, I began to talk to all of those involved in Scottish football around pyrotechnics. It is frankly dangerous. We have seen it in other European countries, just the use of pyrotechnics, how they can cause real damage to people, real injury. And I'm a football fan. I love watching football. It's been a long time since I've been to the stadium, right enough, because of the job. But we want it to be a safe environment for families to come to as well, so more than happy, if I'm elected First Minister, to make sure that the Justice Secretary and I have these conversations with the footballing stakeholders to see what we can do to ensure that our game, our beautiful game, our nation's game, is as safe as possible for everyone. And that report is by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, call for special team to blitz Glasgow's worst back courts. Article by Stuart Patterson. A dedicated cleansing squad should be set up to blitz the worst affected back courts and lanes from fly tipping, according to our union. Last month, the Glasgow Times reported on Kingarth Lane in Govan Hill, where piles of furniture and black bags were blocking the lane, making it difficult for cleansing teams to access the empty bins. GMB, which represents cleansing workers, said someone has to step in and take responsibility to solve what it described as a growing environmental health hazard. As the council does not own any back courts, it is not responsible for back courts, and some back lanes are privately owned. The council said it's for owners and landlords to keep the back courts clean, and this idea would mean a cost to taxpayers. Chris Mitchell, convener for GMB cleansing workers, said someone needs to take action. He said, "We want back courts to be reintroduced to clear up this mess." He said the idea was mooted before and had some support from local politicians and housing associations, but has not been adopted. He added, "The team would go in and remove the bulk from back courts and clear other areas. Owners and tenants would sign up to an agreement to take responsibility. I think it would work. People want someone to take control of this. People are blaming each other for the mess in some of these back courts and lanes, and all while it gets worse." He said there used to be a back court teams, but they were cut around 20 years ago. Mr. Mitchell added, "We want to see it trialled in certain areas. The rapid response teams do a great job in Govan Hill in the streets. This would clean up the back courts. Someone has to clean it up and get a solution to this. There is an opportunity to fix this if people are willing to work for it. Someone has to make the first move." A Glasgow City Council spokesperson said, "The GMB's idea would require the council to use taxpayers' money to pay and clean up private property, with no way to recoup that cost and no guarantee that the problem would not quickly reoccur. The council works closely with partners to protect the environment. However, the maintenance of private property, such as back courts and lanes, is a matter for residents, owners, including housing associations, and factors. The council is not a factor and has not had backcourt teams for well over 10 years. Many housing associations and factors already have their own backcourt teams, as the responsibility for the upkeep and condition of the backcourts lies with owners. Currently, if residents do not dispose of their waste correctly and the owners do not tackle it, the council's environmental health team has legal powers under the Environmental Protection Act to take enforcement action against those responsible for maintaining the property. Environmental health can serve a notice and clear the waste, then charge the cost to those responsible, to ensure it is not the taxpayer who is picking up the bill." And that report was by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, Glasgow car park taped off after incident sparks 999 response, by Rebecca Newlands. A Glasgow city centre car park was taped off after an incident. Images taken from the scene show emergency services, including multiple police vans and ambulances, surrounding the car park on Mitchell Street on Monday night. The entrance was sealed off, with police tape and officers were seen inside carrying out investigations. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We were called at around 9 p.m. on Monday, March the 6th, to the report of a disturbance on Mitchell Street, Glasgow. A 30-year-old man was taken to Queen Elizabeth University Hospital for treatment to serious injuries. A 41-year-old man and a 39-year-old woman were taken to Glasgow Royal Infirmary for treatment. Inquiries are ongoing. And that report was by Rebecca Newlands. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, Glasgow man jailed over dumbbell attack after wallet row, by Connor Gordon. A thug who scarred a man with a dumbbell after an apparent row over a wallet was jailed today for 2 years. William Grant, 29, turned on Thomas Mallon at a flat in Glasgow's Maryhill on May the 8th, 2021. Grant struck repeatedly Mr Mallon on the head and body with the weight bar, leaving him needing 23 stitches and staples. Mr Mallon later told the police that the incident had started after an argument about a wallet. Grant, of the City Scotston, pleaded guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to assaulting Mr Mallon to severe injury and permanent disfigurement. The court heard that the 2 men and 2 women were drinking together at the property. An anonymous 999 call was made to police in regards to a noise complaint of people screaming and violence. Officers attended to find all 4 occupants covered in blood. Prosecutor Katie Bell said, "The females refused to provide a version of events, but said a fight broke out between the men which had to be broken up." Mr Mallon was asked how he came about his injuries, and he stated he was hit with a dumbbell. Grant told the officers, "He started it. He went after my girlfriend and my ma. I was defending them. They got injuries because of him. I punched him in self-defence." Grant was arrested while Mr Mallon received medical treatment. It was noted that he suffered 5 wounds to his head and 2 wounds to his forehead, as well as bruising to his back. A wound to his eyebrow was closed with 2 stitches. Miss Bell added, "The main wound required to be closed with 21 staples, and he confirmed that this will scar. He effectively wears his hair long to try and hide them." Mr Mallon was initially uncooperative with police. Miss Bell said, "He was open in his statement when he said that there was an argument prior to the incident being described over a wallet. He said he jumped up and grabbed Mr Grant around the shoulder and neck. They ended up face to face. However, he then let go and walked away from Mr Grant. There was a break before the incident occurred." And that report was by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section, man finds dozens of bullets during volunteer river clean in Paisley, by Lauren Brownlee. A man found dozens of bullets as he was cleaning up part of a river in Paisley. Paul Richardson and a fellow volunteer were spending their Sunday morning clearing the White Cart water of litter and dumped items. However, the pair came across a plastic tub near Abbey Bridge. Paul said, "We found a plastic container that was covered in duct tape. I decided to have a look inside. I opened it up and there were 2 bags of ammunition. I think these were for an automatic machine gun or an automatic pistol. When we found them, we decided to have a scoot about in case there was a firearm. We then contacted Police Scotland." Paul was asked to hand the bullets into the nearby police station at Mill Street, which he did. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We were made aware of a number of bullets found in the White Cart water near Bridge Street in Paisley shortly after 11 AM on Sunday, March the 5th. The items have been handed in to police." Paul, who owns Calamity Kayaking, regularly spends his time cleaning the river which runs through Glasgow and Paisley. On Sunday, items included bikes, street cones and tyres were removed. He previously said, "The most unusual thing we found is probably a finger, which was just at the mouth of the river Renfrew. We just put it in a bag and handed it into the cops. We've also found a lot of knives and phones. I cleaned Stanley Castle Reservoir in Paisley. I found a Tennent's can in there with a picture of Carol Smiley on it, so that tells you how long it's been not been cleaned. It's a shambles. We reported last week how 2 youngsters were left shocked after finding a handgun in a canal in Kirkintilloch. The 10 and 12-year-olds were magnet fishing when they discovered the firearm. Police collected the gun and said it will be sent to a lab to have the rust removed and checked for a serial number." And that report was by Lauren Brownlee. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section. Police hunt for Audi driver after man hit by car in Glasgow. By Marissa McWhirter. A hunt is underway for the driver of an Audi after a hit and run in Glasgow. The incident occurred on Friday afternoon around 1:20 p.m. A 60-year-old man was hit by a black Audi A4 estate car which made an illegal turn from Byers Road onto Lawrence Street. The driver did not stop and left the scene. The male pedestrian was left badly shaken after the incident, but luckily did not require medical attention. The car may have been driven erratically or dangerously. Police are continuing to review CCTV footage from in and around the area. Constable Tom Parker said, "I am appealing for anyone who was in the area around the time who may have seen the black Audi and its occupant or occupants possibly been driven erratically or dangerously to contact us. I would also like to ask anyone with recording equipment, such as dash cams, to check their footage, as there may be images which could assist our investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland via 101, quoting incident number 1655 of March the 3rd. Alternatively, please call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111, where you can give information anonymously." And that report was by Marissa McWhirter. From the GlasgowTimes, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section. Police hunt for man who exposed himself at Cambuslang train station. Article by Rebecca Newlands. A hunt has been launched for a man who exposed himself to a fellow passenger at a train station. The suspect approached another man at the shelter of Cambuslang station at around 12 p.m. on March the 5th, 2023. After he exposed himself, the victim left the shelter and continued to watch him until they both got onto the 12:16 service to Mulgai. The person remained on the train until it stopped at Mulgai. Transport police officers are now looking for a man who is aged roughly in his 30s, is 5 foot 8 inches tall, and is of average build. He is described as speaking in broken English and having light brown skin. The man could be North African, South European, or Middle Eastern in ethnicity. He is aged roughly in his 30s, is 5 foot 8 inches tall, and is of average build. He has distinctive tattoos of letters in his hands, an S in the rear of his left hand and an H or N on the rear of his right hand. The man wore a dark blue beanie type hat and a long dark puffer jacket. Anyone with information is urged to call 0800 405040 or text 61016 referring to incident number 23000 25614. Crime Stoppers can also be contacted on 0800 555 111. And that report was by Rebecca Newlands. From the GlasgowTimes, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section. Woman taken to hospital after fire at flat in Glasgow, by Rebecca Newlands. A woman has been rushed to a hospital following a fire in Glasgow. We previously reported that the emergency crews had raced to a tenement building in Yoker on Tuesday morning. Fire crews are still on the scene, and police confirmed that a woman has been taken to hospital. An investigation has been carried out to establish what happened. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, around 9:35am on Tuesday, March the 7th, 2023, police received a report of a fire in a flat in Spearshill Close, Yoker. Emergency services are in attendance and one woman has been taken to hospital. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances. And that report was by Rebecca Newlands. From the GlasgowTimes, Tuesday the 7th of March 2023, from the news section. Women don't feel safe on public transport in Scotland, report finds. By Stuart Patterson. Women feel they need to maintain a constant state of vigilance on public transport, research has found. The study found concerns about men as potential perpetrators of harassment, assault, or antisocial behaviour made women and girls feel unsafe on buses and trains. The research for Transport Scotland found women changed or adapted their travel plans to avoid the risk of harassment or assault. Women reported avoiding public transport completely, asking a male relative to meet them and taking steps like holding keys in their hand for self-defence and wearing trainers or flat shoes to be able to run if necessary. Scotland's Transport Minister Jenny Gilruth said the report found women and girls are constantly looking over their shoulder. Gilruth said, "It has become normalised and tolerated. Women should be able to travel safely on public transport and men should learn to behave themselves." Because of the risks associated with public transport, the study found the likelihood of delays or cancellations put women off using public transport at night to avoid having to wait alone in the dark. Young women were more likely to report sexual harassment, disabled women were more likely to report antisocial and intolerant behaviour, and women from ethnic minorities were most likely to report extreme examples of verbal, sexist and racist abuse. Women also noted that people, including other women, were unwilling to get involved in situations that didn't involve them. The report made 10 recommendations to improve safety for women and girls. They include strengthening existing rules around non-consumption of alcohol in public transport and at points of interchange. Other recommendations include more credible and accessible information and guidance for women and girls on what to do and who to contact if they feel threatened or unsafe. Better lighting and security and increasing staff presence on board and at stations were also suggested. Gilruth said what women face is not acceptable. She said, "During our research, women and girls told us they shoulder significant responsibility for adapting their own behaviour to try to be and feel safe on public transport. They're often in a constant state of vigilance, particularly at night time, and, as a result, end up changing their plans, only travelling at certain points of the day, or not using public transport altogether. This is simply not acceptable in 21st century Scotland. We will now work with transport operators and stakeholders to carefully consider these recommendations and how we can implement them quickly and effectively to ensure our transport network is safer and more secure for all who use it." Superintendent Arlene Wilson of British Transport Police said, "We will use these findings to work with our partners to ensure that sexual harassment will not be tolerated on the network, and we will always take reports of this behaviour seriously. Our officers continue to patrol the rail network to catch offenders and reassure passengers." She urged the public to report anything by texting 61016 or via the Railway Guardian app. She added, "In an emergency, always dial 999. And that was a report by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 8th of March 2023, from the Lifestyle section, Glasgow band get death threats and apologise over controversial game, by Kirsty Feerick. A Glasgow band claim they have received death threats and apologised after playing a controversial game. Single by Sunday, a pop rock band who recently sold out the garage in the city centre, have been pelted with abuse online and accused of transphobia. It comes after the boy band played male or female on their podcast Real and Raw, which showed photos of several celebrities with their knees, legs, or backside showing, and they were to guess if it was a man or woman. This included using pictures of BBC presenter Alex Holmcombe's photo as he made guesses and a picture of her wearing denim shorts. Some fans were outraged by the game, branding it disrespectful, but the band said they never meant to objectify anyone. In a statement, Single by Sunday said, "It had nothing to do with is someone trans or not. How somebody identifies has nothing to do with us. We did not intend to objectify anyone, which we ended up doing, and apologised for that. It wasn't the best game to play, but that's what it was, an ill-conceived, stupid game that was juvenile. We should have known better." The statement added, "I should mention at this point that a member of the band is also a member of the LGBTQIA+ community. We have been accused of being bullies, but now we are being bullied with death threats. Our wish was never to upset anyone, and regardless of anyone saying that, it's easy to apologise after the event, but if you're wrong, that's what you have to do. Lessons have to be learned, and they will be." In a public apology, the band said, "We would like to publicly apologise for the insensitivity we have shown to the LGBTQ+ community. It was never within our intentions, and we are deeply sorry for our actions. We will be better people. Glasgow's jewellery street bar and kitchen had touted the incident in a statement saying, "We will no longer be playing Single by Sunday's music in the pub because of their recent transphobic behaviour." Musician Brony added, "What even made you think making a video zooming in on women's private parts and making really disrespectful comments would ever be a good idea?" One fan, however, said, "Those who have been making ridiculous accusations, just think about the effect your words will have on the band's mental health." Another fan added, "I've seen a lot of negativity on here about you guys, and let's just say everybody makes mistakes. No person is perfect, but at least you know you've done wrong. I'm not taking sides at all, but I'm glad you realise it." Single by Sunday has removed the podcast episode and apologised for its content. And that report was by Kirsty Feerick. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 8th of March 2023, from the lifestyle section, Kirkintilloch Canal Festival announces return, by Esther Tarnay. A popular celebration of all things nautical is set to return this summer. The Kirkintilloch Canal Festival will be back with live music, fireworks, family fun and boat trips from 5pm to 10pm on Saturday, August the 26th at Southbank Marina, and from 12pm to 5pm on Sunday, August the 27th at the Marina, Townhead, Cowgate and Barleybank. Organised by Eastern Bartonshire Council, the two-day event attracts tens of thousands of people every year. Councillor Gordon Lowe, leader of Eastern Bartonshire Council, said, "I'm pleased to be able to confirm the return of the Kirkintilloch Canal Festival. We're working hard to ensure it once again offers a mix of entertainment for all people of all ages from Eastern Bartonshire and beyond. We're conscious that many families are facing unprecedented financial challenges at the moment, so we'll be doing all we can to offer as many free activities as possible. The festival gives residents and visitors the chance to get active and have fun, whilst also attracting more people to the area, boosting the local economy. Look out for more news soon." And that article was by Esther Tarnay. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 8th of March 2023, from the opinion section, Susan Aitken, closing the poverty-related attainment gap. Earlier this week, I had the pleasure of visiting the new City Building College, a state-of-the-art training facility in Springburn in the heart of North Glasgow. Housing 250 young apprentices every year, the training college will deliver skills from those traditionally required by the building industry, such as stonemasonry and brickwork, right through to the soft furnishings that make a house a home. But the college is also focusing on training up young Glaswegians in the new and emerging green skills increasingly in demand from the construction industry, from the installation and maintenance of air source heat pumps, replacing gas heating, to other renewable energy sources such as solar panels. These young people will be critical to Scotland's efforts to reach net zero, equipping themselves at the same time with the skills and knowledge to carve solid and rewarding careers for themselves. The college is just one example of the ways in which young people from Glasgow schools are leaving in ever greater numbers to the worlds of work, training and further and higher education. Last week, it emerged that a record 97.1% of the city's senior pupils left school for a positive destination, a new best ever for Glasgow and among the best in Scotland. This is the second year in a row we've recorded our highest ever positive destination figures, a remarkable achievement from everyone in our school communities. It's also incredible progress in a short space of time. Even in the relatively recent past, too many young Glaswegians left school without the skills or qualifications needed to create good lives and solid economic futures for themselves and their families. But the SNP administration, City Council, teachers, school staff and our various partners are determined that Glasgow's young people get the best start in life through early intervention. Closing the long-standing poverty-related attainment gap is embedded throughout our education work. This truly is a modern success story for Glasgow, one that has been delivered because we've confronted the city's challenges with solutions rather than hiding behind them as an excuse. It wasn't so long ago that the national politicians such as former Liberal Democrat leader Joe Swinson took to UK-wide television to caricature and stigmatise young Glaswegians, using narrow, outdated and stereotypical views of educational success to compare our school leavers with those from other areas. There remain too many people caught in the notion that the only gauge of success for a school leaver is a place at university. Those people should meet the teachers and support staff whose outstanding commitment to improving learning continues to raise attainment in Glasgow, reduces the impact of poverty on learners, and results in outcomes like last week's record positive destination figures. And more so, they should meet the many thousands of amazing young people who are, whether through university or not, making good lives for themselves and growing skills and knowledge that will underpin society's future. Providing our pupils with a rounded education and equipping school leavers with the power to determine their own futures is not a sign of failure. It's the clearest sign that Glasgow schools and staff are delivering for our young people and are good enough for anyone's children. This week marks 20 years since the housing stock transfer. The plan to transfer 80,000 homes away from the City Council to social landlords and community ownership was, at the time, hugely contentious and fiercely contested. 2 decades on, and with the benefit of hindsight, it's no exaggeration to say the stock transfer was a defining moment in the history of modern Glasgow. The demolitions, refurbishments and the building programme that followed that decision by tenants were the catalyst for the biggest physical transformations this city has experienced in modern times. Many of Glasgow's neighbourhoods are often barely recognisable to those of us familiar with the city before the turn of the century. In fact, Glaswegians under the age of 16 would struggle to recognise the areas still routinely used in photographs to illustrate social challenges. This was citywide regeneration with social and affordable housing and the empowerment of communities at its heart. It's always a source of some frustration that this transformation is sometimes played down, misunderstood or, worse still, totally ignored, often by those who never experienced the impact of poor quality housing. Yet, as I've written here in the past, the United Nations now holds Glasgow up as an international example of how to do physical and social regeneration of communities well. The stock transfer may have been a turning point, but our work with social landlords of all sizes is far from complete. We have many thousands of new homes to deliver in the years ahead, bringing more affordable housing and new communities into our city centre, and meeting the challenges of the climate emergency by ensuring Glasgow's homes are warm, efficient and carbon neutral. Glasgow's transformational journey is far from over, but the success of our neighbourhoods in recent years demonstrates this city's capacity to change for the better. And that article was by Susan Aitken.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels, Q and review, and to tell your friends about our service.